Hi, everyone. You're listening to the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast number 16. And tonight is question and answer night. Dun, dun, dun. On the phone with me is my friend, Jordan Reasoner. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. I'm holding back after that intro.
Yeah, you were supposed to play some sweet music or something and back me up.
I forgot, man. I didn't have it queued up. Sorry, man.
You gotta roll with the bebops or something.
Yeah.
Okay, well, 2 weeks ago, we asked everyone that listens to input questions into a Survey Monkey question and answer form so that we could kind of just take this podcast to the next level and really answer some questions that you guys are dealing with. So we got a decent amount of responses. We were hoping for a little more, but we got enough definitely to make one show and possibly two shows. So we figured we'd just start attacking them. And we looked through the questions, and I'm not going to lie, we were kind of biased. We chose the questions in which people were more specific about their situations, where they described more of their background, because quite honestly, people who just asked a question without any background, such as, when can I do this or what could I do with this, like we said before, every situation is unique. So without a lot of background information on where your current situation is, it's hard for us to really give you the answer that you need. So that's just an FYI. So if your question didn't get picked this week, don't worry. We'll get to it. And if you want to resubmit your question with some more background, it'll be much easier for us to help you in the future. You got anything to add on that, dude?
No, man. Let's roll right into these questions. I'm ready.
All right, so let's start off with the whammy question of the night. Number one. I'm just going to read this verbatim, how it was written to us. So, I don't have much hope that this is going to work. I know you have to make a living from your book and hide certain details of your daily present sufferings in order to sell it. But I think you are not telling us what is really going on behind the scenes for you two every day, even after both of you have been on this diet for such a long time. I think you still must be suffering from somewhat and just now are too embarrassed to share the sad details. I would like to see a chart of what each of you ate exactly for the last 5+ days and how many times per day you went to the bathroom each day and night during that time. I would like to know a comparison of how many times you went to the bathroom day and night before the diet as well, and then how much it has truly reduced your numbers in reality, or is it just that you only really reduced your total daily calories and ate better foods after starting the diet, and therefore naturally your numbers reduced in measure. With that, only it comes down to it. So there was a cheers at the end there too. So just to summary this up, Jordan, I'm gonna pitch this to you and just kind of sum up what was written to us. So number one, how are we doing making a living selling a book? And I guess let's just be transparent to everybody out there, because it sounds what they're really asking here is a comparison of where we were at the beginning, where we are now, and what where we currently are in our daily lives. So roll with it, man.
As far as making a living goes, I'm still an engineer, and I definitely do not make a living with this book. So I'm sorry to disappoint there.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. Please go
we're
out and buy 3 copies each, everybody, right now,
This is
so we can.
definitely Sunday night right now. Am I? So, but yeah, to be completely transparent, I mean, that's a great point, and a lot of people do, in some cases, unfortunately, hide details, for an image in their book, and and maybe when we were first starting out, that might have been more of some lack of confidence, but now we've helped so many people on this diet, and so many people have had success from our book that I'm pretty confident about where I am and the people that we've helped and the people that have been successful. And the point we've always made is that um, we feel that most everybody can be successful on this diet as long as you find the foods that work for you so you can create your custom version of the SCD diet. And based on that, it's really you can be successful. You just have to tweak it a little bit based on your situation. So as far as where I'm at right now, um, I have a really, really, really solid safe zone of foods. It's pretty broad, and I'm pretty comfortable with it, and I feel like my life is very healthy. Um, I actually, if I eat my food safe zones, I have a perfect poop at 8:30 every morning for weeks on end. Perfect every morning. And beyond that, that's healthy to me. I feel great. 2.5 years ago, before I started the diet, a couple like 6 months before I started the diet, I was a mess. I was having diarrhea, you know, 8 to 10 times a day. And going forward, I really feel like I was, I first started this diet, and the diarrhea pretty much turned off. And then once I stopped the dairy, I went another step even further, and I had just excellent poops. And then after some more healing and some more supplementation, then my poop started to get really formed and solid. And then I focused on gaining weight, and I got more fats mixed in and got digestive enzymes going. And after a year on the diet, I was pretty much at my peak of perfect poops. And then the year following that, I've still been at my peak of perfect poops. Um, and you really have to define and be careful what you say about what is perfect health. And for me, I always have to check myself against where I was before. So looking back, 2.5 years ago when I was going, having complete diarrhea of undigested food, 8 times a day, and now I have a perfectly formed, if you know the Bristol stool chart, number 4 poop every day at 8:30 like clockwork. Um, a lot of people would say that's 100% healthy, and I have great energy. I have zero fatigue. Um, I think that, there's probably a percentage of health that I haven't reached yet, but I'm really comfortable in my life right now with where I am with my health. And the big thing is like in my life right now, I have a 3-month-old daughter, so I'm really focused on that, and I'm not focused on going after that last percentage of health. Because for me, when I look at where I was 2.5 years ago to where I am today, where I have a perfect poop every day, I have unbelievable energy, I'm not hungry at all, I'm very satiated, I've gained my weight back. I'm on a modified training schedule where I can actually gain muscle when I want to. Um, so I'm at a comfortable weight. Um, I have the least amount of body fat I've ever had. Um, I feel great, and I have no joint pain anymore. Things like that. So for me, it's not so much like I still don't eat dairy. To be very transparent, I still don't eat dairy, and I still don't eat egg, and I still don't eat almond flour. And you might say, well, how is that SCD? But the reality is I still follow SCD. I just don't eat those three things because when I don't eat those three things, I feel great. And so to be completely transparent, that's where I'm at right now. And I've been on the diet for a while now. And right now, I'm really not focused. I'm just not focused on the future progression of my health. I'm just focused on being a dad for my son and my 3-month-old daughter and enjoying life for the first time in a long, long time. So I hope that helps clear that up. I'm not hiding any details. My food safe zone, the psychology, everything in our book is everything that I've done to get where I am today. And that's why we just wrote it all down for you so that you can do the same.
Yeah, and I think I think it's awesome to hear you tell it how it is because, in case you guys don't know, we do work full-time jobs during the day. We put the work in at night for this business and try to help you all. And Jordan has a wife, a house, 2 kids, a couple dogs. So when you're in a position like he is where his variables are minimized, he has no problems, he has no health concerns when he sticks to the foods that he knows and the supplements he knows. Um, I wouldn't blame him for trying to press continually into, some of those foods that people think they're missing out on, like almond flour or eggs or something like that. So I think it's really important for a lot of people to everybody has to define health for them And, Jordan's definition of health is right now being present with his family and feeling great every day. And I think that's awesome. And for me, it's slightly different. So what's really cool about this is you're going to get way, two super ends of the spectrum. So in my life, I have, my day job as well, and then we have this at night. And other than that, I live the single life with a girlfriend. So I don't really have any responsibilities, no dogs, no kids, nothing like that. So that allows me to take that last, percentage that Jordan was talking about, where maybe somebody might define health as like cured, as in like maybe I don't take any supplements, or maybe I went to the doctor and they said, no, you're cured, Steve. Those are all different types of things that you could classify cured or health as. And my definition is I don't need to go to the doctor and get an A-OK. I am looking to try to wean off some supplements like digestive enzymes and stomach acid, betaine HCl for stomach acid. Those are basically the only two things besides probiotics that I take for digestion at this point. And so I've been playing around with the probiotics, the digestive enzymes, and the betaine HCl because I have more time on my hands. And see, just like we talk about when you add foods into your diet, sometimes you have setbacks because you never know. The reason why Jordan doesn't really play with his diet right now is because he needs to have all hands on deck every day in his life. Whereas if I'm continually pulling things in and out of my supplement regimen, continually trying different things, and I have setback days. And those days for him hurt a lot more than they do for me because, if I want, I can go to bed early or something like that. No one's waiting on me at night to do a bunch of chores or take care of a house or anything like that. So to be completely transparent, where I am is I have my food safe zone as well, and that's basically sort of like a low fruit SCD. I can do all the vegetables, any meats, fats in any quantity. Any of the fruits are fine. It's just when I get into high fruits, they kind of give me gas, that kind of thing. And then I've been playing a lot around with the beans and lentils right now. I do fine on almond flour and honey and all those things. It's just I find that I'm not a person who's very good with moderation, so I end up like killing the entire batch of cookies in 2 days. So I just stay away from it because when that happens, I do get gas and loose stools and that kind of thing. So again, every food can be toxic. It's all a dose thing. So in the last 5 days, because that was the specific question, to let you know what I've been eating and kind of get a view in on my life. So I've been playing around with probiotics. I quit the yogurt and I quit taking probiotic pills just to see what would happen. I'm still doing the betaine HCl and the digestive enzymes, but I was just curious to see what effect they have and how that's treating me. So I started doing that like 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of left me a little bit I don't know. The stools have gotten a little bit harder, so I have a lot more threes. So like Friday, I didn't poop. I pooped twice yesterday, both threes, and once today, another three. And then keep in mind, I drank a bottle of wine on Friday, and then I drank another bottle of wine last night. But other than that, my diet was extremely SCD and extremely like lean on the SCD. For instance, I ate pork chops and frozen veggies most of the day on Friday. Every morning I have 3 to 5 eggs, and I've been playing with the lentils or beans and spinach in the morning with that. And then Saturday I made some salmon patties and made up some more beans. And then I went Saturday night when I was partying with the bottle of wine. I did have some tortilla, corn chips, and salsa. And the salsa was SCD legal, but obviously the corn tortillas were just corn tortillas and salt. So obviously that's a cheat right there. And I do cheat maybe 2% of a month, so 4 or 5 times a month, one meal I might cheat in a small amount. I don't ever seem to suffer that much consequence when I do it in specific areas. So corn for me and potatoes don't really seem to be a big deal. But if it was to be dairy, or if I was to go eat like a burger from McDonald's or something like that, or have a wheat bun or something like that, I'll probably pay the price. But the really interesting thing about the price is that it's usually gas and like stomach unsettledness, uneasiness, noisy. It's never usually like or diarrhea or anything. So that's a big change from what it used to be. back in the day when I first started the diet, I had gas every day horribly. I'd have horrible cramping. I'd have, 5 or 6 trips to the bathroom, not usually diarrhea, but extremely loose stools. And then every couple days it would be all out diarrhea. And that just doesn't happen anymore, even when I do cheat a little bit. So, I my focus this year is really to try to understand the dynamic play between probiotics, digestive enzymes, and betaine HCl, the stomach acid. So because I have the more leeway in my time in my life, you know, I continue to stray a little bit here and there just to test the limits, as well as I'm trying to test the limits on the supplementation, because while I do take other things like multivitamins and B complex and magnesium and vitamin C and stuff like that, those are supplements that I don't view as like digestive, like straight digestively supporting. So I'm more curious just to find out what happens with the straight digestive support systems. But so yeah, that's where I'm at, completely transparent. If you would like to recruit your friends and family to all buy our book as well, then we would love to make a living off the book and do this full time. But that hasn't happened yet, so maybe this year. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. Uh, this one was kind of short and brief, and so here it is, Jordan. I am now on phase 2 of the SCD lifestyle program. What supplements do I need, and how should I introduce them into the diet?
Hmm. That's a very good question. And that's another thing to your point in the beginning that really requires a lot more information on the person. And we're not doctors, so that's also another thing is that we're not going to make specific recommendations on supplementation. But what we can do is talk a little bit about more about what we take and what we've taken that has really helped us. And Steve brought it up just in this last answer, and I kind of left it out and I forgot, but it's a good segue for me to add it back in. Um, I started taking the first thing I started taking when I started the diet was lactobacillus. It was GI Pro Health, lactobacillus. I think they call it Scutophilus. And I worked my way up to like 30 billion a day, and I was taking that for a long time. Um, when I did introduce digestive enzymes, I really struggled to introduce them. I got this horrible stomach pain, so I introduced them really slowly. So I'd worked my way up to taking 2 digestive enzymes at every meal of GI Pro Health's Prozymes. And the reason I say that is I think probiotics are really important on this diet because they really help support your gut flora. I really think digestive enzymes are important because we have a lot of issues with our digestive system being able to really break down foods, and such a problem with malabsorption that if you can use digestive enzymes to help break down the fats and the proteins and help you really get those nutrients absorbed in the beginning, it can help a lot. And if you can introduce fats, you can also introduce more calories and more healthy fats to help you heal. So probiotics are definitely one of my staples, and I would say anybody should try to mess with those. I've been messing with them a lot lately. I've actually switched to a really diverse 11 strain probiotic, and I take like up to 300 billion a day now. But that's just me, and I'm experimenting. And also importantly, I want to note that I've been doing it for 3 months now, and I'm going to take another stool test to confirm what that's actually doing to my gut flora balance. So I'm always checking and testing and making sure what I'm doing isn't, going the wrong direction. So it has helped really smooth out a lot of my digestion when I've gone up to 11 strain. But again, when I first started out, I was just taking one lactobacillus strain, and that's all I needed. And I've played with it a lot. So something to start with. The lactobacillus is really good to start with. Um, the digestive enzymes are really key. Work those in. Start with like a quarter capsule if you have problems with them at first, but those have really helped my digestion. And when I don't take them, I really notice it. I didn't take them for a couple of days last week when I ran out, and actually it was just for 2 meals, and I noticed a difference the next day. And so those are 2 of the big things. Uh, betaine HCl also really helped me. Steve brought it up. We've talked about it before. It really, really helped me with my stomach acid. My stomach acid was really low. Once I started taking that, I started to really have improved digestion. Um, that's those are my three staples. I've also played around with multivitamins, B complex, vitamin C. D3 is something that I've really, really enjoyed taking. My levels are really low in my blood tests, so I've taken it to get them all the way up to 60, 70 in my blood test results. Now they're back down around 50. I can't remember the label on that, but um, D3 is really improved, but it's just something that you have to look at what's your blood test results telling you, what's your stool test telling you, um, and if you're just going to start the diet, you got to get some probiotics going, especially if you're not going to do the yogurt. And digestive enzymes will really help with the fats and proteins in the beginning. Um, Anything beyond that is something you can definitely experiment with. We're always experimenting, trying to find better supplements, trying to find stuff that will help us in different ways that we haven't tried before, as Steve alluded to. So I think I've gone through kind of what we usually recommend are the staples in the beginning. Definitely get your D3 checked, and if you're not doing adequate there, it's really important to get D3 levels up. And the multivitamins do help in the beginning because of your malabsorption and low nutrients. But beyond that, I think that's pretty much everything I've taken. Steve, what do you want to add some more to that?
Yeah, sure. I think a couple things I want to pull off of what you were talking about is the importance of actually measuring as much as you can. So always remember that every blood test is just arbitrary. It is just like a school test. If I were to ask you to answer 5 questions, your answers and how you did is only relative to today and what the knowledge you had on today or had on hand today is. So when you get tests done at the doctor's office, it's really only a reflection of that day and time and how you were feeling at that day and time. So it's really a good idea to get tests done, every 3 months, every 6 months when you're still feeling bad for sure. And it's not necessarily a good idea just to load up on supplements, just to load up on supplements, because there's never been any really long-term studies shown that if you just bombard your system with supplements that you might not need, that you'll be fine. You might actually be doing harm. So it's a good point to point out that Jordan and I have gotten extensive testing done, both on serum level tests as well as now I'm playing with getting the intracellular tests done just to see what's going on there. So I highly recommend doing all that kind of thing. Jordan hit the nail on the head on the big ones, which are probiotics, digestive enzymes, correcting a stomach acid deficiency if you have one. Um, Part of going along with stomach deficiency is usually zinc. So, I usually tell people to do a zinc taste test. Um, Check that out. The multivitamins, like we talked about before, and the B complex are just great supporters, especially in the beginning of the diet and throughout, in the long run. I still take B complex to this day, as I don't, necessarily. I have more stressors in my life than what Jordan does as far as drinking alcohol and working out a little bit harder maybe and kind of not getting as much sleep maybe some days. So I tend to continue to support at the B complex level because B vitamins are so important in many areas of digestion as well as overall health. But yeah, I think the number one thing that if people the number one supplement I would tell people to look into would be vitamin D, and the test to get there is the 25 OHD blood test, and just play with that. I think that'll be your most bang for the buck supplement. Jordan, you got anything else on that?
No, I think we gave people enough information dump on that one. Um,
Yeah.
that's a
See,
lot
this
of
is what
stuff.
this is what happens when you don't ask specific questions with backgrounds. We just brain vomit, and it's just
Exactly.
I don't even know if anybody will understand that. Okay, let's move on to question number 3.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, other than meat, chicken, or almond flour, what foods and what type of recipes for such foods are the most filling? I need cheap, very, very filling recipes and foods, and I am too skinny, hungry all the time on SCD. I want to gain weight and lose the constant hunger. In quotations, eating 7 times a day don't help either. I need some alternatives. What do you say to that, Jordan?
Okay, so bang for your buck is fats. Fats promote satiety, and fats promote massive calories. So, like for instance, every morning when I make my famous turkey sausage breakfast, I have 3 to 4 tablespoons of coconut oil all over them that I drink after I eat the sausage. And I actually don't eat that much meat in the breakfast morning. I eat like a half a pound, which I guess that's probably a lot to a lot of people, but for me that's not really much anymore. So I'll have like a half pound of meat and I'll drink all that coconut oil, which is so delicious and so good for you. It's so healthy to have the fats in there. Um, so I'm actually not even hungry until 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't even hardly get hungry for lunch. It promotes so much satiety for me and so many calories and good nutrients. Um, You know, most of the stuff that we've looked at and the research we've seen, a lot of the paleo community and people like that, they talk about having 60% of your diet be fats. And when you do stuff like that, it really, really helps promote the satiety and being full and not being hungry. And Steve, maybe you can talk a little bit more about that in a moment, and the hormones if you want and stuff. But really what it comes down to is fats and proteins are what make you feel full. Um, so in terms of getting calories, the fats are going to be the best bang for your buck for calories. You can add olive oil on top of your meat, a tablespoon or two of olive oil on top of your meat at every meal, and that'll add what 200 to 400 calories to the meal, maybe even more. Coconut oil is the same way. Um, and also in addition to that, we just talked about digestive enzymes. So a lot of people say, well, I can't digest fats. Well, are you taking digestive enzymes? Those will help you break the fats down and make everything flow very smoothly and break down very well. Um, and the final point I think here is that when you first start the diet, like when I first started the diet, I was hungry all the time. I had to eat like every hour, and it was like that for years on a gluten-free diet. And what I found out is that it was actually issues with my blood glucose levels just from how my body was reacting to the diet I was eating. And after I was on the diet for like 3 weeks or so, everything stabilized to the point where my blood sugar doesn't do much weird things anymore. So like I'll never wake up hungry and shaky anymore. I don't get like that like an hour, hour and a half after I eat anymore and feel like I need to eat something to pick myself back up. That doesn't happen anymore. Um, it, it's nothing like that. I never had those crashes with low energy and the shakes and in fact, Steve more so than I, but I've played with intermittent fasting where I fast for 24 hours, and I still don't even get hungry during those fasting periods, and I don't have weird blood sugar things happen during those fasting periods, which before this diet, I would have panicked and never thought that was something I could ever even think about trying. So, and I just want to say that if you get a lot more fats in your diet, you'll get a lot more calories, you'll get a lot more full feeling. The proteins will also help. But addition to that, after a couple weeks on this diet, it can help to really smooth out your blood sugar, especially if you're not eating a lot of fruit. If you're eating a ton of fruit, that kind of goes out the window. But uh, once your blood sugar kind of normalizes and stuff, like it did with me, you don't really get that sort of hyperglycemic reaction anymore. And I find that that's really just been something that happened over time. And now I feel great and I'm full all the time and I never feel that crash anymore. So maybe Steve, you can give some more science, more background on maybe your experiences on it, but I think that kind of wraps up my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Well, I would start off by saying it's kind of a caveat here. This is a specific question in which there's really not enough information here for us to answer the person who asked it. It's great that you're eating 7 times a day. You're looking to gain weight, and it sounds like you're insinuating that you're eating a lot of meat and chicken, but you haven't given us any kind of menu breakdowns. We don't know total calorie count, so it could be as simple as you're eating 7 times a day, but you're only eating 1,600 calories. And I would say if that's the case, eat 2,500 calories and see how you feel. And out of those 2,500 calories, don't eat more than 3 cups of fruit. And tell me if you're still hungry then. Because if that's the case, then I think maybe there's a digestive problem possibly, or you're just like a super big 7 foot dude. The important thing is that protein in the short term and fats in the long term. And so if you're eating meals that are like, 20 to 30 grams of protein plus a bunch of fat, you should be pretty set for every meal. So if you're feeling compelled to eat like every 2 to 3 hours, eating meals like that, then I would tend to guess that there's a digestive problem, that you're actually not getting the nutrients you need. And we might want to look at trying to figure out something that's going on digestively still. Maybe you're missing some probiotics or enzymes or something like that. But everything Jordan said is correct. If you're eating 7 times a day, if you're already doing everything that we just said, eat 7 times a day and don't eat any fruit and eat 2,500 calories. And I think you'll be all right. So that's what I have on that. All right, let's move on to question number 4. So question number 4 is getting back to yogurt. So do a lot of SCDers have problems eating the yogurt made from cows or goat's milk? How long do you usually have to wait to be able to tolerate it if you do? What do you got to say on that, Jordan?
Well, my personal experience, I started the diet on dairy. I messed with the yogurt. I was eating goat's milk cheese, stuff like that. So, you know, I actually flew to Arizona to see my sister, and I came back, and I didn't have a chance to get any cheese for like 3 or 4 days, and I just all of a sudden felt better, and I realized that it was the dairy. So that was in month 2.5, I think, and I just went to a whole new level of health just overnight once I stopped taking or eating the cheese. So what we found through helping people is that people just react to dairy really strongly. So what we usually recommend is just try the diet dairy-free for 15 to 30 days and just see how you're doing, and then try to introduce the dairy, try to introduce the yogurt, and play with things like that. Because if you start the diet and you start dairy right away and you just don't feel very good, it's probably likely that it could be dairy or egg or even nuts that are causing these reactions, but dairy is usually the number one offender. And, really it's just like, why not start it first, get yourself healed, and then try the yogurt, try the dairy, stuff like that. The only real loss is not getting the probiotics, but you can always order some non-dairy probiotics from GI Pro Health, like we talked about earlier. And that's what I did and that's what I still do, is I supplement probiotics and I don't eat dairy. So that was just my personal experience and what we find the most people are successful with that we help and that read our book, and that's what we recommend in our book. So I guess those are my thoughts on it, and I don't really play with yogurt too much anymore, although I'm going to get into some coconut milk yogurt here pretty soon, once the baby gets a little older, but more to come on that. But Steve, I know you have a lot more experience with dairy and with a lot of variations of yogurt, so maybe you can dive in some more.
Yeah, when the first question, do a lot of people have problem with the yogurt? And I would say yes. That is why we designed the book, the intro diet, the way we did. And I would go against Jordan's recommendation of 15 days and say 30 to 45 days, just because if you're following our procedure, if you're following our plan of creating your food safe zone, it usually takes 30 to 45 days to create that little zone. And what we're trying to do here for you is make sure that when you start the SD diet, you find out if the diet works for you, and you don't, blame it on something like a dairy allergy that you didn't know you had, or an egg allergy that you didn't know you had. So if you create a little bubble, a little plateau to stand on, and maybe that plateau is not perfect poops, but if you go from 7 to 10 times, bloody mucus diarrhea a day down to like 4 times a day, then you've seen progress. You know that 4 times a day, kind of loose stools, that's a lot better than what you were doing, a couple weeks ago. So now try the dairy, try the cow's milk, try the goat's milk, and see if that takes you up the next level. That might take you from 4 loose stools down to 1 perfect poop. It could be the answer. But if you would have done that right at the beginning, there's a lot of cross reactions that can happen with the dairy, with the different foods. You're also adding a bunch of probiotics. So there's just too many variables there to actually tease out the true problems you're having at the beginning. So that's why we recommend everybody waits. And your time frame for waiting, like I said, will probably be different than everybody else's just because it depends on until you've seen a little progress and you have a bubble that you can actually test stuff and then go back to the bubble. Because what I see from a lot of people is like 50% of the time they'll try cow's milk, like cow's milk yogurt, excuse me, and they'll be fine. But the other 50% don't do well with cow's milk yogurt. And so they have like really bad reactions to it. So if they don't have a bubble to climb back into, then they just spiral out of control and it's very easy to quit the diet. So if you try cow's milk, you climb back in the bubble, try goat's milk, hopefully that goes well, and that's maybe like, 30%. I don't know. These are just general things, just kind of recalling from the emails that we talked to people. For my personal experience, the benefits of goat's milk over cow's milk are just too great for me to even care to go to cow's milk right when I started. So I started with goat's milk and did that for a long time. It went fine. I got kind of cocky. I went to cow's milk. Cow's milk tasted better. I didn't have to drip it to get that yogurt texture I was used to. So I stayed on cow's milk for a long time. And then it wasn't until about 9 months into the diet in which I was still dealing with the whole smelling issue and the nasal congestion and the zinc problems and all that, that I finally went in to see another allergist and just, I figured I had some environmental allergies going on or something like that. And she ended up doing some food tests on me too and found out that dairy was a huge allergen for me. So I took out what this awesomely good probiotic substance, and I took that and some little bit of cheese that I ate out, and 4 days later I could smell. It was miraculous. So I think everyone has their own unique process of figuring out what works. I think if you want to be safe, you go goat's milk first and then try cow's milk later. And then as far as how long do you have to wait to tolerate it, just ramp up. Start at a quarter cup, half cup, and slowly work up to a full cup, up to 2 cups or something like that. And you feel free to start it whenever you like, but being that we're kind of like engineers and like the logical time frame of creating a ground to stand on, so that when you add a new variable that specific variable is the problem. I would say wait till you've seen some progress, and wait till you're like satisfied with your current diet, that you would be okay with sacrificing the next 10 days, because this really is a process. Because by the time you make the goat's milk and then try it and then get sick for a couple days and then climb back in and get better for a couple days, we're easily looking at 7 to 8 days there lost. And then you try the next kind of milk, maybe it's almond milk or maybe it's cow's milk. And then if you're really hot on yogurt and you don't want to get the probiotic pills, then you have to start mixing around with the different starter packages. So maybe you were using Lucy's Kitchen Starter, or you were using some other starter from Yogurt May or something. Now maybe you need to try goat's milk with GI Pro's dairy-free starter. That might be the answer to your prayers. And so this entire process could easily take 30 days. So when is it appropriate? That's totally a personal question. But that's my 55 cents on it. So
That's good stuff, man. I think, we answered a lot of stuff here, and there's a lot of information, and I think that's a spawn of the questions being a little vague. So hopefully we're going to include the link at the bottom again in this post. So please, when you ask your questions, be much more specific on your particular situation, so we can help you specifically, and then other people can get help, based on that. But really just give us a couple of good sentences about what's really going on, what you're eating, what's your symptoms, a little bit of your history, that kind of stuff. That will really help us be able to give more specific examples of what we've seen work. So,
yeah, I think just do what Jordan said and give us a little bit more info on your situation and what kind of answer you want from us, and we'll try to deliver. Hopefully you've gotten something from tonight. If there's anything to take away from tonight, it's that, number one, We're not doctors, we're engineers. So the way we think about this process and the way that we kind of try to coach people and help people out is sort of like a logical fashion of really trying to control the variables and stick to basically what we found to work with our bodies and the people that we work with on a daily basis, the emails we get, the success stories. When we interview these people, we ask, what was it? What was the big thing? And so our recommendations are solely based off of what we see works and what works for us. So thanks for listening, and make sure you get your questions in for the next time we do this. And this has been the SCD Lifestyle Solution Podcast number 16.